HMO Heroes live at 5. And tonight we've got a corker of a show for you. But just before I get into that, just want to tell you about HMO Heroes in case you don't already know. HMO Heroes is a Facebook group, a community of like-minded HMO investors. It's for motivation, inspiration, and information. So if you're not a member yet, check it out. Just search for HMO Heroes on Facebook. And tonight we've got our 13th HMO hero joining us, and it's an absolutely incredible story. So Dan Brown is with me tonight, and he's an absolute ball of energy and enthusiasm and life. And what he's achieved in the last 18 months, along with his wife Helen, is absolutely phenomenal. So first of all, he's created this beautiful brand, Habibo, and their first HMO, which looks absolutely gorgeous. And if you trot along to Habibo, not now, you'll be able to see pictures of what that looks like. But as well as having a gorgeous finish and being fantastic, it's also netting them $1,400 per month. He's just completed on his second deal, and which is a mega deal, and that's going to net them over £3,000 a month after phase 2, and a whopping £4,200 per month after phase 3, which is a crazy 50k per year net on deal number 2. So this one's property gold. If you are looking to go into HMOs, you're not sure what to do, you want to make your first few deals real winners, we will be talking about how Dan and Helen have achieved this, and how you can too. Remember that if you're watching, to give us a thumbs up so we can give you a shout out in the comments. And without any further ado, I'm going to say welcome to Dan Brown, HMO hero. And Dan is here with me in Newport today. We're both in the same office. So,
hiya.
Hey. So Dan, do you want to start off by giving a bit of an intro to how you first got into property?
Yeah, sure. Well, it all started, as you said, about 18 months ago, when I'd had a particularly horrible winter working fabricating and welding. I'm self-employed doing that, and particularly horrible winter out in the elements, and me and Helen needed to come up with a plan to basically get me off the tools by the time. Our original plan was to get me off the tools by the time I was 50.
Obviously a long time away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 22 now. And so we came up with the idea of possibly going into property. And the reason we were thinking this was we'd converted our loft the year before, and we'd increased the value of our house. We realized once we spoke to our very first broker that we could release £145,000, which would cost us, I think, putting up the mortgage by about 250 quid a month. Mm-hmm. And we decided to use that to invest in property, get some passive income, and grow it from there.
Fantastic. So I just want to say hi. I can see a few people are watching. I can't see who you are yet. I can see Ricardo. Hi, Ricardo. We'll move on, because I know that I just want to crack on with Dan. How you found deal number 1? Then tell us about your first deal.
Well, deal number 1, Greenbank Road, Habibo 1. It was. It took about 6 months, I think, to find. It was, we were very, as everyone is, I suppose, at the start, a bit indecisive. We were looking for the perfect property. We knew we wanted to go down the HMO route. We knew we wanted 5 rooms, and we knew we wanted at least 2 or 3 en suites, and it had to be in an area that gave us a lot of confidence. So after a lot of viewings, unsuccessful ones, we eventually found Habibo 1, and that was about a 10-minute drive from my house in a really up-and-coming area of Bristol, Greenbank. And it was on for, I think it was on for originally at 310. It had been on Rightmove for about 6 or 7 months, and I used a little tool called Property Bee that you use with Firefox, and I'd realised that a sale had fallen through. Went round and had a viewing, saw that it was wedged in between a cafe and some other commercial unit. So straight away realised that as a family home, it might not work. So that was issue one with the guy who was selling it. And B, after a chat with my broker, I realised that it's actually quite difficult to get a mortgage on a house, especially for your first time, that's wedged in between commercial buildings, especially ones associated with food and heat and fire. So we put an offer in, 280. We negotiated up after, I don't think it was very long, I think it was a week or so, to 282. And completed on that November the 21st, 2017.
Fantastic. So not long ago, it's 7 months, 8 months ago, 9 months. Keep going up.
Yeah, about 9 months.
And already it's, how long? Tell us about the whole process of the refurb.
Well, process of the refurb. So we got the builders in January the 10th. They started, and they initially planned for, I think it was 2 months work, and we'd budgeted about 35, 40 grand. As soon as we started ripping things out, we realised that the whole house, it effectively became known as the papier mâché house.
Right, okay.
Because it was just it was an absolute nightmare, to be perfectly honest. Rotten wood holding up the side of the house instead of steel beams or lintels. One of the floors turned out to be an IKEA wardrobe.
Oh my God.
There was a lot of damp and just lots of little problems. We persevered though. I had a brilliant builder. He would always come to me with a solution instead of a problem. And I just told him obviously to get on with it because we were in quite deep at that point, so there was no backing out. Final build cost came out at about £65,000, and it took about 4.5 months to complete. So we completed the build June, and then we had it let out. Oh no, we completed the build May, and then we had it fully let out by the end of June. So it was about 3.5 weeks to fully let it out.
No, that's really good. That's really fantastic, and a great result for your first time as well. And tell us about, so how much were you all in for? I wasn't keeping up with that.
So we were all in 145 grand. We basically spent a lot. I think it was probably a little bit more as well. I'd sort of fished out of my own business to put in, and then we got it revalued at 370, and so we managed to get 80 grand back out to go towards Habibo too. Fantastic.
So I know that you said you had. Have you got any tips for finding it? This is just that Property Bee.
I mean, at the moment, you can't use Property Bee anymore. It's out of date. It only works with an old edition of Firefox. But I find Property Tracker, if you link that with Chrome and you go on Rightmove, that gives you a little bit more information, can tell you the different price drops that a property's been through, if any. So it gives you a little bit of an edge. But apart from that, it really depends what everyone's looking for. But for me at the moment, I'm looking at properties, Habibo 4, which have been on the market for a long time. So, you know, I'll just go to older properties, have a chat with the agent, find out if there's been any problems with sales falling through or anything like that, and trying to find a motivated seller.
Fantastic. So what would your top tips be for people who are just starting out in HMOs like you were and want to get cracking but are worried?
Yeah. Well, first top tip is got to be network. Go to your local property meetings, and there's loads of them.
Yeah.
The most famous ones being PIN, but there's a few others as well. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm in Bristol, so there are a lot of property meetings. You know, if you're somewhere that's not such a big city or town, then you might be a bit restricted. You might have to travel. But get to your local property meetings, network, get your face known. You can't just turn up once or twice and then don't go again for 6 months. You've got to get there. You've got to know, you know, the big players' names. You've got to know their histories, you know, and you've got to essentially make friends. You've got to make people like you. Show that you're willing to put in some legwork, whether that's going to the PIN meetings, going around doing viewings, educating yourself or whatever. And for instance, my strategy would be go into a PIN meeting with one question. I'd go to that PIN meeting with one question. I'd spend the whole first hour networking like a mother and just saying, you know, can you help me with this question? No, right, sorry, I've got to move on. You know, that was my resource. That was my that was my education. That was my resource, and I wouldn't leave until I had an answer to the question or a pointer in the right direction, at least.
Fantastic. So, what kind of questions were you going there with? Can we both get on here?
Yeah.
It's more important that you're on than me.
Yeah. You can sit on my lap if you want.
Cool. It's the first time you've had this sort of thing going on. This is getting more exciting than it usually is.
Yeah. I didn't mean that, Helen. I didn't mean that. Sorry, what did you say?
I can't remember, to be honest. Where were we? Okay.
What sort of questions?
Yeah, what sort of questions?
What sort of questions?
Yeah.
Well, for instance, I'd go there with a question about Wi-Fi. You know, my question would be, what's the best Wi-Fi? Who do I talk to about Wi-Fi? Who's the local expert here? And what have I got to get in a 5-bedroom property with, you know, X amount of square foot to make it as reliable as I possibly can? Because I don't want any whinging tenants coming back to me and complaining about the Wi-Fi, which is, you know, at the end of the day, it's one of the most important things.
It's like
it is.
Can't live without it.
Yeah. I've had my kids crying under my desk when our Wi-Fi goes down at home, saying there's no reason to live. So, you know, you don't want that from a tenant.
Definitely not, especially the crying around your legs bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about property 2, because this is a real gem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beauty.
Getting up to, potentially, if you do all 3 phases, getting up to 4,200 net a month. So tell us all about it.
Well, it's first of all, it got sent to me by a friend, a link on Rightmove, but it wasn't even on my radar because it was too much money. It was on for 340. It's a detached 3-bedroom house, but the rooms are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. Average bedroom size is about 15, 16 square meters, and it's on a corner plot. It's got a massive garage there, which is 56 square meters, and it came with planning permission to build a 3-bedroom house on it. So went along, did the viewing, Mags and Allen Bristol, put in an offer of 300 initially, and then negotiated up to 310. And then, they took the 310. It was still being sold under auction contract, so we had to complete in 28 days. So that was really, really stressful, actually.
Yeah.
But it was a case of getting your head down and just making it happen.
Yeah. Bridging.
Bridging finance. We had the 80k left over, as I said, took out from Habibo 1. So got the bridging, but we actually went over the 28 days. By a little bit, but nobody got too upset. And that's going to be the house as it stands. Is going to be a 6-bedroom, all ensuite HMO. Plan A is to build the 3-bedroom house on the plot and convert that to a 4-bedroom HMO. We're building an extension out the back of the 6-bed HMO with a view to putting in the foundations to, in the future, go up another story. So that's a 30 square meter extension. So as that stands, that is 10 rooms, and that'll be netting us about £3,000 a month. And I think the ROI is about 40%. That is
incredible. And if that's not enough, there's a phase 3 as well, isn't there, Dan?
Yeah, well, phase 3 is we're going to build the new build in such a way that the loft is easier than normal to convert. We're trying to future-proof it as much as we possibly can, and also with the intention of building up from the extension. We're building on the 6-bed HMO to create, obviously, and well, directly up, so it'll be another 30 square meters upstairs, which will get us 2 more ensuite bedrooms.
So if we think about the numbers, actually, the purchase price of 310 is incredible when you think that if all goes to plan with planning, you've got 3 buildings out of it in the end.
No, 2 buildings.
Well, the garage isn't that separate?
The garage is separate, but yeah, sorry, I should have explained. The 56 square meter garage has actually got to go if plan A to build the new build happens, because one of the planning requirements is that we convert it all to parking.
Right. Okay. Got you. So you potentially, if all goes to plan, then you've got 2 buildings, but you're going up in the attic for phase 3.
Yeah, up into the attic and 2-story extension for phase 3.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's so you purchased at 310. You've got your 2 buildings. You're making for over £4,000 a month.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest. I haven't actually worked out what the net would be, but it should be about 4,500.
Yeah.
Should be really.
Yeah. Okay, so it's actually more. But we'll see what happens. And you've got, how much are you anticipating for the refurb?
Well, for the HMO conversion itself, we're looking at 130,000. And then for the new build, including surveys and architect's fees and everything else, that's looking at about 170 at the moment.
Yeah. So I've got 260 down.
It's 300. It's probably gone
300. Yeah. Okay. So you're 310 plus 300. So you're all in at 610. But I just wanted to say a quick hello. Hi, Lois, and Ricardo, and Clive, and Shalik. And Lois, your question was: is phase 2? Is Habibo 2 in Bristol?
Habibo 2, yeah, it's in Bristol. It's in BS4, Brislington, on the Bath Road. So it's on a really good commuter.
Yeah, that would be that great HMO land. But here's where it gets exciting. So we were just saying about 610 all in, and here's where it gets exciting, because what's the GDV?
Well, the GDV we've set at 750, but we're pretty confident that's a conservative GDV. After speaking to local estate agents, it should really be more like 775, and everything crossed 800. But we'll say 750 for now. So yeah, that on an 85% Kent Reliant mortgage gives us about, I think it's about 647. If my memory serves me correct.
That's fantastic. So all your money out?
Yeah, all the money out.
And some.
Hopefully, yeah. I don't like to talk about it too much.
No, just in case things go wrong. But from the forecast, 600 is all your, just over 600 is all your money out. So you're thinking you possibly get 647 out. But yeah, like we said, like we all know, nothing goes always exactly to plan. But
oh, sorry, no, hold on. It's not all the money. It's nearly all the money back out. We've forgotten about the development finance. Costs.
Yeah.
So you got to put on about 30 grand for that.
Yeah.
So.
Because it's an expensive business, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for newbies, because you've been through the process twice now, have you got any tips about financing the deals, especially when you're not experienced, well, on the first one as an HMO person or as a property developer?
Do you mean raising the capital or what products to use?
Well, both.
Okay.
Run us through it.
Financing, well, that's a tricky one. If you've got the luxury of some equity in a property, that's a popular way of releasing some cash. Aside from that, I would crunch the numbers until you've got a deal that looks absolutely fantastic on paper. Send it out to friends, family, Facebook, LinkedIn, get it out there and see if you can get any interest from investors. In terms of what products to use on your first ones, we were lucky on our very first property. We actually used a Kent Reliance product, which was a buy-to-let mortgage. This was because we weren't expecting. We thought the refurb was going to take 6 weeks, you know, and under the laws, you're allowed to do a little bit of refurb on a mortgage. But as it turned out, you know, we couldn't do it in that time because of all the problems we found. But that Kent Reliance mortgage went from buy to let, and it had a clause in it, caveat, however you want to call it, that it could be an HMO mortgage as well. So for us, that was the perfect product because, as people will know or will find out, it's not impossible to get an HMO mortgage, you know, off the first one with no experience as a landlord, but you will pay a higher percentage. So, I mean, I'm no expert on the products to use, but this falls back to the networking again. You go to networking, you find a broker who is the expert. You know, I mean, to be honest, that's the main reason for networking, isn't it? We get all these people, you know, the broker. I'm lucky enough to have some coaches as well, and solicitors, architects. You meet all these people at networking events, and that's where I've met
your broker.
All the people in my team, in our team. Sorry, mine and Alan's team, and you know, you call on their expertise for these types of things.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's great, because it's good to know, you know, from experience, because I know that for people buying their first HMO, it can be difficult, you know, getting the finance. So yeah,
I mean, you get a lot of naysayers out there who will tell you. We had an incredible amount of naysayers who said, what on earth are you doing an HMO for your first one? Why aren't you doing a buy-to-let? Do a buy-to-let first, and then do the HMO once you've got some experience of refurb and managing and financing. But we just said,
and when your rotten bits were falling out and your refurb cost doubled, did you wish you'd taken their advice?
No,
not
at all.
Well, certainly now, not that you're netting the $1,400 a month and it's all over. But I think that's how it is in property. You put the work in, obviously you overcome some challenges, and then later on you reap the rewards. But up front, you got to be prepared to do the things that you're saying, i.e. the networking, the finding out, and you've been doing a lot of working on yourself as well, haven't you?
I've done 6 months now with Tim Matchin, who's been my coach and mentor, and he's been absolutely amazing. Had a session with him yesterday afternoon, and every time I come away from our sessions, A, I've learned some more, B, I've grown in confidence, C, my mindset is attuned to the right wavelength of you know, the property investor, developer. I'm also a member of the Inside Property Investing Mastermind group with Mike Stenhouse.
Had the cheek to go out for dinner, apparently.
Yeah, they've
rather than watching this.
Yeah, I can't believe that. Obviously, very disappointed and feel very let down. And hopefully, they'll all be watching the recording later or tomorrow.
Well, they can make their rude comments on the recording rather than live.
And on top of that, we are being mentored and coached by Mark and Trisha Pegg, Mark Harvey, and they've been pretty amazing as well. With they're a combination of Mark's mindset, and Trisha is the HMO guru.
Yeah.
Combination of two in one package is amazing.
Yeah, of course. I've had Trisha on the show, hugely popular, and a whirlwind with the investors. Yeah. But what I think in your case is, hey Nadia, is you've been going really fast. That you've got within 18 months, you've got the first one signed, sealed, and delivered. You've bought the second one. You've got ambitious plans for it. Quite a heavy investment. Quite a high GDV for your second one. Even at the lowest that you're saying 750, and you've already got projects three found. No,
3's the new build.
Oh yes.
So four isn't found yet, but we're actively looking. We're actively looking around Bristol for a suitable property to hopefully get all the money back out, and the other one is we're interested in doing some flips to build up the cash pot for Christmas.
Yeah, and I know that you've had lots of interest from investors as well, and that you've got your first investor on board. Yeah. So, any tips for people who've recently started out and would like to attract investors to work with them?
Yeah, sure. The biggest tip I would say is, it's an old one, but be yourself. People buy people. Again, I'm just coming up with cliches now, but they are very true. They are very true. And the luxury of doing something like property, where you are relatively self-employed, is you do get to be yourself. So that's the first bit of advice. Second one is focus on what the investor wants. I've made a lot of mistakes about telling people and just shooting up, blasting hot air into people's faces about what I want. And I'm learning from them all the time. I'm constantly making mistakes.
I wouldn't know about that.
You've not made any, have you?
No,
ever. So you need to understand what your investor wants, or what investors do want, and you're only going to find that out by asking the right questions and listening properly to the answers. But you've also you've got to attract them in the first place. I mean, social media is amazing, absolutely amazing for that. I think it was about 2 months ago, with Trisha and Mark, me and Helen set ourselves a goal of posting every single day on Facebook. And it sounds easy, doesn't it? We're all doing Facebook. No, it's not been easy at all. But we've done it.
Every single day for how long?
Well, now you're testing me. Because Helen has been in charge of Facebook posting. I think it must have been about 2 months. I mean, even to the stage where we were on holiday a few weeks ago. I saw that. And she was still going strong. Yeah. We might have missed the odd day, here or there due to life. We've got 2 kids, 8 and 9. So, Cubs or kickboxing sometimes gets in the way. But no, you got to get yourself a presence on Facebook, on social media, on LinkedIn. Find one that works for you and completely blast it. People need to see your face every single day, and it's got to be video. It's got to be video. You can't just post. Get your videos out there.
Brilliant, thanks for that. I really take my hat off with the Facebook Lives. But we've got a question from BC Bonti. Hi BC, and thanks for this question. It says, I'm starting out in property sourcing and I am not sure what area I should look in. Some of the advice out there says work locally, but in my local area of North Herts, I don't think it is popular. What do you think?
North Herts. I've got to be honest, I'm not familiar with the area. Like you mentioned, sorry, what was the name?
BC.
BC.
Yeah, BC.
As you mentioned, BC, there is when starting out, it's definitely better to stick closer to home. One thing I heard recently from Trisha Pegg was, you know, somebody's got to live somewhere. I don't think she phrased it exactly like that, but you know, there is a market for somebody to live everywhere, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. So start off with an area that is close to home that you know. If that's not working for whatever reason, the bottom line is you've got to learn another area. You need to know that area. Whatever area you go to, you need to know it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the bigger cities are more popular. Places with universities. I think there's a new university coming into Worcester or somewhere around there. I'm not 100% sure. But
yeah, I think you're right. You've got to get to know your area inside out. Be the expert on your area, whether it's North Herts, but there might be one next to it. That, you know, you can be the person for your area that people come to, get to be known as that person. Yeah,
and get on Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook. Get on Spare Room, and you know, you can research an area really well just on Spare Room as a basic level.
We've had another one which is from Lois. Hey Lois, and it says, what type of content were you posting daily? That's a good question. Did you have a list of what you're going to do each day?
Not really. I mean, we would sometimes come up with 2 or 3 posts in one day, you know, so we'd stack them up to save us a bit of time. But essentially, the content was what we'd done. I'm trying to remember the formula I was told recently. I haven't got it at the moment. It might come back to me. Yeah. But it's basically explain what you've done, explain what you're doing, and explain what you're going to do. You know, it's as simple as that. If you've done property in some way or another before, then you've got some examples of what you've already done. Focus obviously on the positives of that, but actually saying that, it's also good to keep it real and post up some absolutely awful days, and then explain how you've got through that day, what you've learned from it, and what you're going to do next.
Great answer. Thanks for that. And BC has also said, thank you so much for your answer. That has really helped, Dan.
Brilliant. No problem.
So, Lois, I'm expecting to see lots of Facebook Lives there that you asked about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally agree with you. Certainly, we used to do a lot of videos saying what we'd done and what we were doing and all of that, but that's sort of fallen by the wayside. But we have been busy, so we're going through some purchases at the moment. So we will get back to that soon and show you what we've been up to lately. So Dana, when we talked before, you were telling me about your brand and what the mission statement of Habibo is and how you want to be seen as a business.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, we've I say we. Helen is the brainchild behind Habibo. Habibo is the new name of how we want to take things forward. The mission statement, I couldn't tell you that exactly, but what I can tell you is that some of our goals are to create flexible working environments. Yeah. You know, we don't want people to be chained to the desk working for us. Being parents ourselves, we're very keen for people to come on board with Habibo and, you know, understand their needs as a parent. Assemblies, sports days, leaving early. You know, we don't want it to be a case of you have to work 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. We want you to come on. We want you to come into work. We want you to perform. We want you to exceed our expectations. But you can do that in a much shorter time than 8 hours, and then you can go home and enjoy your family life. That's one of the big things that we're trying to focus on.
Got any roles going?
No.
That sounds quite good to me.
Not yet.
Yeah. Kamal has said hi, Dan.
Hiya.
So what would you say so far is the best tool in your business?
The best tool in
let's say you.
business, not me. I would then say at the moment it's something called Podio, which is a fantastic bit of software. So we basically put into Podio, we'll put all our leads, as in houses that we want to look at, have looked at, land, commercial buildings, everything goes into Podio. All our contacts go into Podio, all our team, everybody goes into that. And what it does is it gives you a snapshot. So you can go into, once you've set it up right, which again, Helen has done brilliantly, and I'm learning it. Probably should be there today, but I'm not. And you, as in a snapshot, you can see, okay, you've got the property, you've got an offer that you've already put in, you've got a follow-up date, you've got a strategy assigned to it, so is it a HMO or a flip, and you've got action to take in a week, in a month, whatever you set yourself. That's just amazing, because we've had so many viewings. You know, as anybody knows, who goes out and does a lot of viewings. How do you keep track? You know, you forget, and it's impossible. Saving a few properties on Rightmove just isn't enough anymore, is it? No. You've got to track all this and know when you're going back to revisit stuff, because as we know, was it 1 in 3 property deals fall through? Yeah. So there's plenty of opportunity to go back to houses that, you know, you think have been sold.
Yeah, so Phil Sadler, hey Phil, has said, I'd use Podio 2 down, great tool.
Now, does it mean there's a Podio 2 out there? Or is used Podio 2? I
shouldn't laugh and just encourage him, really. Okay, and what's the habit that you would say has helped you? Because you have moved at a really fast pace and you're still going, and it's not, well, we all know it's not easy. So what's the habit that you think?
The habit has been perseverance and consistency. Consistency with the networking, to build up the contacts and the team. Perseverance in that you're going to get a lot of setbacks. You are going to get an amazing amount of setbacks, but if you let that, if you go away from that setback with a negative attitude, you're not going to succeed. You've got to, every setback you have, you've got to think, right, you know, what am I going to do next? How do I do it different? Who do I need to talk to get me round or over or through this problem? So it's just perseverance, determination, never give up. Don't listen to the naysayers. There's a lot of them, and just keep going. It sounds a bit generic, but it is essentially true. It's perseverance, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree, because that's why in a few years' time, when you've got all the properties acquired, refurbished, cash flow, and people then say, "Oh, you're so lucky." It's all sort of happened for you, but what they don't see is, you know, all the challenges on the way that you've had to get over, where other people might have given up or, you know, bought a single let. Nothing wrong with that. No. But, you know, or taken longer between, you know, but you're keeping it moving. Number 2 is in action, and and 3, and you're looking for number 4. So I think that takes a real sort of mental resilience, especially because you're in that process of securing finance, you know, refinancing continually, and all of these things have become much more challenging than they used to be.
100%.
Certainly. And obviously there's it's larger amounts that are at risk.
But remember, it's just numbers. That's not true.
No. No. Whatever Dan says. So just going back to people who are where you were at, only the end of was it November you completed?
On the first one,
yeah. And you're facing a refurbishment. Had you done a refurbishment before?
No, we'd had experience. We converted our loft in our own house. I think it was a year and a half maybe 2 years before. So we had, to be honest, an absolutely horrible experience where they converted our loft, but the first builder, he got kicked off site because we felt he was just taking the mick, to put it politely. Second builder went to jail. Yeah.
That's a bit drastic, isn't it? Yeah. So what you do, you lock them up if you're not satisfied with the work. Shit.
Yeah.
What happened there then?
Personal problems with the builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the third guy came on board, and to finish off our loft, saying he gave it obviously the big one, gave it all the talk, and then literally 3 days into the job, he admitted to me it was the biggest job he'd ever done in his entire life. And so me and Helen had to sort of, well, actually, again, mostly Helen, took over, started project managing it, and got it through to the end.
With the same builder?
Ish.
Oh, right, okay.
Ish.
Yeah, well, that just shows the challenges actually that can happen on a refurb. Obviously, that was a particularly tricky one, and I think it's less usual on a resi one where it's your own home normally.
Yeah.
But so that actually was great experience for you going into the refurb, and how did it go on site? What prep had you done, or tell us about the experience of actually going into that HMO refurb for the
Habibo 1. So Habibo 1, going into the refurb, parts of it were incredibly straightforward. We had a lot of faith in the builder who was doing it. Excellent relationship with him. Great bloke. He's doing Habibo 2 and 3. And like I said, I basically just left it to him. He was project managing it. I did have to step in on some of the bigger things, like getting the water main upgraded. That was an absolute nightmare. With taking weeks and weeks to get the water feed upgraded. Bristol Council offer a lovely service where they upgrade your water feed for free if you've got lead pipes. So that was great. We got the water feed upgraded from 15mm pipe to 32mm pipe for free. But
yeah, I knew there would be a but.
Yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. I had to keep something like 10 car spaces free for the guys to come in and do the work in a tiny street in Bristol, in Easton, in Greenbank. And basically everybody ignored me. All the residents ignored me. I put letters through, knocked on the doors. Everyone ignored me. We had about 3 or 4 failed attempts. Got to the final attempt the night before. I literally did not sleep at all. No sleep. Got up. Eventually just rolled out of bed at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Went over to the property. I'd hired a load of Harris fencing, which wasn't exactly 100% sure on the legality of that, but I'd had enough. I just had to get it done, and so I blocked off a lot of the road. Got there again. There was still cars in the way.
They moved the fencing.
Yeah, one had actually just reversed sort of through my fencing and ignored all the signs that Bristol Water had left out. And then the guys came out and to do the work, and I basically said, look, you cannot go until this is only just starting. We had to do half of the road at a time. And I eventually got through to the office, and they finally agreed to come and tow 2 cars. They did that. The guys started. I went home, got a bit of sleep, and if I'm perfectly honest, had a shower and cried my eyes out, because I was just the relief, the absolute relief of doing it. I just had a bloody good cry and let it out, and just thought, yes,
get in.
I've done half of it.
So was it the following day?
Well, yeah, then we had to repeat the process again 3 days later.
Yeah.
But luckily there was no more crying.
I saw it is blood, sweat and tears, really. Yeah. I saw the pictures when you had all the fencing up. And I thought, well, that's incredibly professional, but I didn't realise that what had happened was 4 times people had parked in your spot and they hadn't been able to do the work.
I mean, when it had all finished, when the fencing had gone and the water feed had finished, I was taking bottles of wine round to my neighbours and 2 of the main people who helped me out, 2 local businesses. They had a bottle of Prosecco each.
Nice. So it's worth helping you then, Dan. Where's Okay. Right. So I think just before we wrap up, just tell us what do you see for you and Habibo for the future, and also tell us how people can work with you if people are.
Well, Habibo, we've got a goal of we're achieving 20 rooms by March 2019. We want to escalate that up to 100 rooms. We think that's quite conservative over the next 5 years. Start employing lettings managers and our own project manager to keep things more in-house. As I said, Habibo's goals are, I mean, design-wise, Helen is just amazing. We constantly want to be using bold, innovative designs. Breaking the magnolia mold is one of our strap lines, and just being really bold, trying to be different, trying to make our HMOs stand out. You know, we offer top-notch services. You know, for HMOs, cleaners, gardeners. You know, as per usual, brand new appliances. You know, things like that. Top Wi-Fi. And yes, we're looking to work with more and more people. We are starting to work with investors now, creating great returns for them and making everybody some money, but doing it in an ethical and responsible way.
That's fantastic. I'm not surprised that you've had so many people contacting you about investing, because I think when people see somebody with integrity who is getting the sort of results that you're achieving with the sort of returns that you're getting on the properties, that's really fantastic and a great deal for investors. Well,
and a lot of fun along the way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In between the crying, there's a bit of laughter.
Bit of crying, bit of fun.
Yeah,
hopefully not too much crying anymore.
No. Monthly, maybe 6 weekly. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for coming on and telling us about it. I think it's so inspiring for people to hear the story of, because sometimes when we have people on who Amber Leggett. I see somebody's tagging somebody in so they can watch it later. Okay. We've had some people on who've been doing property for like 10, 20 years, and it can feel a bit out of reach. I think what you coming on today, it feels real and achievable for people who are just starting out. But what you have achieved, I don't think is typical because of the pace at which you're moving, and also this kind of deals that you're doing, the complexity of the deals that you're doing as your first and second deal. So really interested for you to come back and tell us about Habibo 2, 3, and possibly, well, we might have 4, 5, and 6 by then.
Yeah, I'd love to.
We have had a couple of comments. Marcus Peters, hello. And Lois says, thank you guys, very informative. Thank you so much, Lois, for watching, and looking forward to your live videos. But thank you, Dan, for coming in.
No worries. Lovely to meet you, Stephanie.
It's a pleasure, because we tried this a couple of weeks ago, and Dan wasn't on Wi-Fi, and the software we use is very fussy. You've got to be on Wi-Fi. Yeah. So Dan's come into our office in Newport, so that's been really good. What was I going to say is that next Thursday I'm going to be at the Southampton Property Show, so I'm hoping to talk and have somebody live on who's done the Southampton Property Show too. So if you are going to be at the Southampton Property Show, you're into HMOs, give me a shout and we could maybe do a live from Southampton next week. Okay, so that's it, guys. If you're watching this not live and you've got any questions for Dan about any aspects of the things that we talked about today, then do pop them in the comments and Dan will answer them. Oh, thank you, Nadia. Nadia said, thanks, Dan and Stephanie, very inspiring. And we got a thumbs up, thanks for that, from Marcus Anfield. So thanks a million, guys, for watching tonight, and catch you all, guys, next week. Okay.
See you later.
Bye for now. Bye.